I'm pretty sure you have bumped into those videos that reads, I'm 18 or 20, I have no friends. I'm 20 or 30, I have no friends. And usually when you click on a video, the person deals with some type of anxiety. I actually been diagnosed with social anxiety around 2018 by a psychiatrist. I actually diagnosed myself with social anxiety 10 years before he did, based on a documentary that I found on YouTube. I'm pretty sure you type in social anxiety documentary, you can still watch it if you're interested. The thing is that I thought I was like the only person like this, the only weirdo, the only shyest person in the world, until I finally met a cousin of mine who is like 4 hours away in plane, plus like 3 hours in bus, plus 40 minutes in car. And the thing is that I was so happy and excited to finally meet a family member who is actually shyer than me, because I was like, finally someone that understands me, someone that I can connect to, someone that knows my daily struggles, the anxious anxietiness. But just piece of advice, be careful what you wish for, because you might not like what you get. So be very specific in your prayers or wishes. Just throwing it out there. As long as I can remember, I always been this way. We used to get visitors a lot when I was a child. Weekly for sure. I remember whenever somebody would knock on the door, I would go to my room, pretend I was asleep until I did fall asleep. The only time I would go out is because I had a use the restroom and I could no longer hold my urine, so I had to go out, say hi to people, then use the bathroom, or the other way around. Just want to cover a couple of myths that people say about us. Is that people say that if we blush around you, it's because we like you, we're into you. That is far from true. I feel like I blushed around everyone as a child. I used to blush around kids, teenagers, adults, old people, including babies. Yes, you heard that right, including babies. I used to blush around. Another myth is that if we bite our lips, it's because we're into you, whatever that means, that we like you. That is far from the truth. That is actually the main reason why I started wearing lipstick. Why I wear lipstick is because as a child, as a teenager, I used to always have chopped lips because I was constantly biting my lips, and I was just very nervous around everyone, the same thing. Any gender, male, female, kids. So I'm just nervous around people. Just because you see me blushing and biting my lips in front of you doesn't mean I like you that way. Maybe I do, but I just don't. Honestly, pretty sure that's far from the truth from the majority of people that have anxiety. In school, I used to always wear like turtlenecks and sweaters. I feel like that's something that we all have in common. Like we just love wearing sweaters and hoodies. But in elementary school, I used to wear like a lot of turtlenecks. I honestly have no idea how in the world I used to use so much turtlenecks. I actually can no longer stand turtlenecks. I don't even own a turtleneck sweatshirt. That's how annoyed I am by them. The reason is because I couldn't, for some reason, I just couldn't show skin. I was embarrassed to show my skin. I was embarrassed to show my neck. So that's why I always cover myself up. During the summertime, I always try my best to also wear long sleeve shirts or just something that will cover my arms, because I was just too scared and nervous to show skin. So I was like that in elementary school. I did have friends. I did have really close friends. But the thing is that they will always like move away, so the parents would transfer them to a different school, closer school, or like the next year my best friend would just be in a different class, and we just lost connection. So I feel like that's the reason why maybe I have some type of abandonment issues, which the majority of us do kind of have some type of abandonment issues, honestly. Dysfunctional families, this world. I remember in middle school, it was the hoodie era, as in my peers and me, we used to wear a lot of hoodies, zip-up hoodies. I used to love wearing my hoodie whenever I used to go out, just grocery shopping, or just to school, or just across the street to get bread. I used to just put on my hoodie and just go to school like that, because it would just block my side view, which I just didn't want to know who was beside me, because I felt like if I knew who was beside me, I'll be more nervous and terrified of them, because I felt like I'm being judged by them. And then like in 8th grade, that's when I got my first eye touch, and I was listening to music whenever I used to go out, to school, anywhere I used to go out. I used to always put my earphones and put my hoodie. And I remember I used to have my hair curly, but for some reason I was too scared to show my curls, so I would just hide it in my hoodie and stuff like that. For some reason, I don't know why. Like, why am I doing my hair curly if I'm gonna just hide it and stuff like that? I remember that in high school. I remember in high school also, I used to curl my hair, but for some reason I was too afraid to show my curls, so I would just had it like a bun. And I was like, why am I curling my hair if I'm gonna just have it in a bun? But for some reason I just had to curl it just in case. I don't know for what reason I used to curl it. I just had it in a bun the majority of the time. That's just weird. That's how just negative I am with myself. I would say high school were the best 4 years of mandatory education, because the high school that I attended at the time, I never got bullied. I never got teased. I never got judged for the way I look. At the time, my acne was really bad. My acne got really bad in eighth grade. When I started eighth grade, it was already bad. My face was already just filled with acne. And thank God I never got bullied. I never got teased. I never got judged. I never got negative comments by anyone. No one teased me. No one said anything about my face. So I'm so grateful because my self esteem was already low because of my acne. Imagine if I were to get bullied. I'm pretty sure maybe people out there get bullied because of that. I cannot imagine. That must be very, very excruciating to go through that. Thank God I never did. So if you're going through that, I cannot understand that honestly. It's just it's sad to go through that honestly. But that's why I would say high school was just the best years because I was invisible. Nobody saw me. Nobody knew me. I didn't know my peers, which I just didn't really care. I was like in my own little zone. I did make friends, but I never kept in contact with them because at the time I didn't have a phone. I actually got my first phone when I was like 20, because of safety reasons. Honestly, the time when I was attending high school, there was like a lot of kids being by themselves, sitting by themselves, and I never saw them get teased or bullied. I don't know, like after school or during class. I don't know if that's a thing, but at the time, I never saw that, and I never got that from anyone, from my peers. Hopefully, it's still like that. Honestly, when it came to job wise, I would say job wise, the first job I ever applied was a cashier. The manager saw that I was very terrified to be a cashier when I was doing my training. So they ended up putting me as a bagger. I am actually happy that they did because I was actually praying to become a bagger. Because the only bagger female was me. The rest of them were just guys, so I didn't know I was going to get the position as a bagger. And I was pretty much applying as a cashier. But I guess they saw my potential, as in I wasn't really talking because one of the managers, she told me, oh, you're good because you don't really talk much, and that's pretty much what we're looking for. So I felt happy, and I got the job as a bagger. And in the beginning I was very slow and I was scared because I felt like I wasn't bagging it right. I might break something or some, they might get mad at me for doing that, putting that with that. But then like I changed my mindset and I was like, either A, you bag their stuff very quick so they don't stare at you bagging their stuff, and then you could jump to the cashier and help them out, or B, you could just take your time and they'll stare at you for the next 2 minutes because you're so slow bagging their stuff. So I would become the best bagger because I was like, I need to get out of here so they don't start staring at me. So I became the best bagger. I was bagging people's stuff super quickly because I just didn't want them to stare at me. And I was just very active. Like I would just pick up the baskets in the beginning. One of the bosses told me you need to pick up the baskets also. I wanted to, but I felt scared to pick up the baskets because I felt like I was overdoing it. But once he told me, I was like, okay, I could do this. So that's when I started becoming better at my job. I felt comfortable. I remember one of the managers told me, oh, you're like a butterfly. You have changed. You have evolved. You talk now. You socialize a bit more. You move around. You move around more. So I felt happy because I felt like that job, although I didn't like it in the beginning because I was exposed to a lot of people. And my old neighborhood, it's like a white area, as in they love small talk, they relations. You could tell them like, how's your day, and they'll literally tell you how their day is, what they do for their job, their anniversary, I'm doing this for my wife, I'm doing this and that. They'll tell you their whole life. They just love talking. I wish I could honestly be like that, like really open, very comfortable, very confident, but apparently I'm not. This is the way I am for now. So that's one of the benefits of not being a cashier. I didn't have to deal with the eye contact and small talk. And I remember as a bagger in the beginning, whenever like the customers would give me a tip, I was afraid to say thank you or have a good day or have a good evening because I felt like if I were to say that, I was trying to be a suck up or I was just trying to pretend to be someone I'm not. But I felt like that was the respectful way, but for some reason I just couldn't say it. I just couldn't even look up at the customer because I was just too afraid to do eye contact. And here, doing eye contact, it's a way of showing respect. So to me, I was being very disrespectful for them. But I guess some of them noticed that I was shy or I did my job as bagging their stuff, so they would just tip me and stuff like that. So, I got the job done really good for 2 years. I had that job for 2 years, but I had to go because I started having problems with certain people, a certain customer. That's when I moved into my second job. My second job was kind of being like a babysitter nanny, where I was just picking him up from school and dropping him off. But then like it changed where he was taking the school bus, and I would just try to help him with his homework. But the thing is that he noticed that I was very insecure and shy, so I wasn't very on top of him. I know I wasn't fit for the job, but I was trying to do things that I knew that I wasn't the best in. So to get out of my comfort zone, to feel more comfortable. But I wasn't fit for the job. After 2 years or so, she let me go, which I was actually happy because I didn't want to do it. It was just scary doing things that I just don't like doing. But at the same time, I felt like I did grow a little, I think. I don't know. Maybe I did. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. My third job was working at Macy's, a seasonal. I felt like the job was all right. I was a cashier, so it was actually better than the first job I had because I think since I was exposed to people already, I felt more comfortable around strangers. I was comfortable to kind of have small talks. Not really. I try to avoid that. And the department that I used to work at was the tourist. So to me, it was like, oh, they're tourists. I'm not going to see them again. So it was pretty interesting. I like that job, honestly. But it was seasonal. So I was like, go out after February, I think, or something like that. March? I don't remember. Pretty sure after March. February. I don't know. My fourth job was to work in an office. I used to love that job. I was able to clock in anytime I wanted it and able to clock out as long as I did everything I had to, file, paperwork, and stuff like that. I love that job. I wish I could still have that job, honestly, but right now, I take care of my mom. In the beginning, it was kind of difficult for me to take care of my mom, honestly, because I think it was difficult for me to tell my mom, do this and this and this because she's my mom. I kind of expect her to kind of know since she's the adult one, but like my mom has dementia, so as time passes by, they start getting worse and worse. So I feel like right now she's like a child, as in, kids, they take stuff. So she constantly takes stuff. She hides it. She throws it in the trash. So in the beginning, it was kind of hard for me to tell her what to do because she wouldn't listen. Because she's like, who are you to tell me what to do? You're not my mom. Like, I'm an adult. Kind of sort of attitude she'll have towards me. So it was difficult for me to even do that in the beginning. But now, so it's kind of easier to take care of her since she's always like indoors. It just became very difficult whenever she would go out. It was very difficult to bring her back in. Like, she wouldn't want to come home. Like, she didn't want to go up the stairs. And there were several occasions where I was walking in the same back and forth, like 40 minutes. I think it was like the longest, maybe 45 minutes, because my brother would come and he'll try to help her out, and it'll be like a 5-minute struggle with her. But it was just difficult, honestly. So that's my job wise. I just got used to people. Would I apply as a cashier? Honestly, I prefer not to. I try to avoid customer service. I prefer to be like in the stock area, honestly, doing other stuff like behind the scenes thing. Although at my old place, I used to live with my siblings, my 3 brothers, and my parents. I grew up with them. I wasn't able to clean around them. Whenever they were home, I wasn't able to clean or run dust or mop or sweep or move things around. Like, I just felt like if I was doing those things like around them, I felt like I was trying to be like, oh, who the heck she thinks she is? She thinks she's better than me because she's cleaning around here or she's doing this. But now that I think of it, I think it was pretty much the opposite. They're like, oh, look, she's cleaning, so I don't have to clean. That's pretty much like her job to do anyways. But thank goodness I moved out of there. So now I'm pretty much cleaning after myself or my mom or my brother. So I felt like moving was it was the best decision I ever made. Say I am a person who listens the majority of the times. I would say like 95% of the time I would listen whenever it comes to social gathering. Whenever my friends invite me over, like I'll always bump into a group of maybe 7, 5, 10, and most of the time I'll just listen unless I do approach someone or someone approaches me. We'll have like that one-to-one conversation. But the majority of times I just listen because for some reason I just can't talk. It could take me hours between hours, months, days, weeks to years for me to feel comfortable. I have bumped into people that I feel comfortable since day one. Usually the person, usually the person that I feel comfortable since day one are also people who deal with some type of anxiety or shy, or they're just very extroverted that they just treat me so naturally, which I just love. For some reason I feel like most people are afraid to approach me. I feel like they think I'm too quiet, like this person is too quiet, like we don't know what she's thinking, and she's just this scary person that we cannot approach, so we try to avoid her. That's what I get from people's vibes. And I also got that when I was in middle school. A couple of classmates were like, you're too quiet, it's scary to approach you because we just don't know what you're thinking. Like, some people were like, yo, it's like you're carrying weapons, or you're just trying to like find a way to explode the school. But for some reason, I guess my quietness intimidated them, but their confident and loudness intimidated me. So, I'm always overthinking, honestly. I wish it just wasn't like that, but that's the way it is. Since I do the majority of the listening, when in the beginning when I started therapy, it was very difficult for me to talk to the therapist because I'm not used to talking a lot. Like, the majority, when you do therapy, the majority who does talking is the patient rather than the therapist. He just pretty much listens or asks questions to make you start thinking so you can start thinking about certain things you said, or, and the beginning it was difficult, but and eventually I did feel comfortable. It took me a couple of months. In the beginning, I was also like thinking, like, if I'm boring him, did he zone out? Is he dreaming? Is he doing like a day list? I felt like I'm just boring. I remember one time he said, let's make a list of things that makes you anxious. So let's start from the lowest to highest. And I remember the first thing I said to him was walking. And he's like, walking? I'm like, yes, walking. He's like, walking in general? Like, yes, walking in general is very scary, petrifying, mortifying. It's very scary for me to do, because I feel like when I'm walking in public, I feel like people are judging me by my hair, the clothing I wear, the way I'm walking, the way my shoes are, like the shoes or the brand. Like, ugh, I feel like I'm always being judged or looked down. Like, do I put my hands in my pocket? Do I put it beside me? Do I put it behind me? Like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Like, where do I put them? What's that word? Scrutinize, all of those negative things just come to mind. So I did feel comfortable after a while. I just kind of quit therapy for a while. I tried to go back to it, but they wanted me to do caregiving group therapy, which I am honestly not interested. I have friends that have dealt with the same thing, taking care of a family member with dementia, and they tell me the same thing. Like, I don't see like the benefit of it, honestly, and I honestly don't want to sit there and just talk about my problems, because we all have problems. And some people be like, that's the point, like you can relate to someone, you can connect to someone. But for some reason I just feel like the more I talk about it, the more sadder I feel. The thing is that with me, usually when I talk about my problems with a friend, and they'll say things like, oh, I'm sorry you're going through that, you and your brother just going through that, for some reason it just hits harder than when I'm leaving it. It does hit in the beginning when my mom does something that she starts doing. It does hurt harder. That we tend to do also is that we seem to wear a lot of baggy clothes. I feel like the majority of us wear a lot of baggy clothes, not all of us. My cousin is one of them. I think he wears like 5 or 6 times bigger his size. I will wear like maybe twice my size. Not a huge number. I personally feel like the reason why I wear baggy clothes is because I feel like if I were to gain weight, which I have gained weight, I feel like the majority of people won't notice, which the majority of people haven't noticed. I feel like only 2 people that I'm very close to have noticed. And I have gotten negative comments about my weight from one person. And I know I need to sit down and talk to them. That is very triggering to me, because as growing up, I did have an eating disorder. I did have problems with my weight. So to me, that's very triggering. It's very disrespectful. I don't feel like a friend would literally say those things to me. But, we're all imperfect, and sometimes we just have to talk to them and be honest with them. Something that I'm still working on. I feel like I have grown a lot since I was a child. One of the things that has helped me is that I try to reverse psychology, as in I had times where my brothers would be like, "Oh, that's an ugly dress," and I'll be like, "Really? Okay, that means I'm gonna wear it more." Or to be like, "Oh, that doesn't look good on you." I'm like, "For real? Okay, that means I'm buying it now." That's the reason why I'm buying it, because you love it. So to me, when I hear like negative comments, to me it's like positive. Like it just means the opposite. That's what I tell my brothers. Like, "Oh, that means it's the opposite." There was a time where I was actually being bullied and teased by my brothers. They were saying like, "You're ugly," and I was like, "Oh, for real? I didn't know you were. You know, I know I'm pretty and stuff like that." And when I started doing that, for some reason, they started getting offensive and they became very sensitive, and that's when like the bullying stopped from my siblings, because I started reversing psychology on them. Um, and one of the things that also helps me when I go out is listening to music, since I focus more on the music rather than like thoughts that just start coming in. So I just listen to the music. Sometimes I'll do like sign language when I go out, but sometimes I'm like, wait, I can't do sign language because people are going to start staring. So let me not do sign language unless like this block right here is very empty. But listening to music has helped me a lot to calm down. I would say like 99% of the time I do listen to music because it helps me to calm down when I go out in public. I don't really listen to a lot of music when I'm at home. Um, yeah. One of the things that has helped me a lot is doing things that I hate. As in, I would say I don't really like going out, but I force myself to go out because I know if I force myself to go out, I'll start feeling more comfortable around the area. I noticed that the area where I live now, it's less crowded than the area where I used to live. The area before, it was very crowded, and I felt like that also influenced me to feel more anxious when it came to going out. But now here that it's less crowded, I feel like it's not so much of a big deal to go out compared to my other place. And like over there, like I'll be heading out, like I'll have my bag and everything with me, like my coat, but then I'll be like, oh, I need my keys. Like I'll look for my keys for the next 3 or 5 minutes. I'll have my keys, and then I'll be like going to the door, like I'll open the door, be like, oh no, wait, let me get the trash. Like I'll take the trash with me, but then I'll be like, oh no, recycle, and like I'll come back and I'll ask my siblings, oh, do you need something? Do you want something? You know. So I was always procrastinating. Like I will procrastinate in the beginning. I would say I would procrastinate between 30 to 45 minutes. I would say lately it was. I would say lately it was like 10 to 15 minutes. Here, I don't really procrastinate as much as over there, maybe like 2 or 3 minutes tops. Not really much because, like I said, it's less people around the area, which I actually like. Um, so actually moving was that was one of the best things. Like my anxiety just went down so much. De-escalated a lot. So I'm happy. So hopefully this video wasn't too long. Hopefully you have learned something about us, people who deal with anxiety, or me in general, and how we kind of think a little. I feel like there's much more, but I just don't want this video to be long. Thank you for being patient, and hopefully this video wasn't too long. Like I mentioned, have a good day, have a good one, have a good weekend, and see you until next time. Bye.